Where's the bucket's over here, actually. All right. All right, folks, welcome to the live stream. This is the second game of pool play here at the O-Town Showdown between the u10B1 Blue Spartacats and the u10B1 Northern Tier. I'm going to go with stars based on what's on their jerseys. We'll figure that out maybe out at the first intermission. Spartacats yesterday 0-2 losers to the hometown Owatonna Huskies. Northern Tier still needs an extra forward. Figuring out exactly where to be. They still need another player. So it's going to be just a brief pause while we get the right players on the ice. Meanwhile, Northern Tier were successful defeating West St. Paul 5-0 yesterday. And we are underway here from the West Rink. And you'll notice that our camera views are a little bit different. The noise is a little bit different. Here's an early opportunity for Nelner. Nelner shoots. It was a good forecheck that time by Malor. Comes to the edge of the crease and goes through the crease. And don't sure if we're going to have a penalty there or not. Might have been a trip. Anyway, we play on. Nelner battling there at the blue line. So Nelner, Malor, and Nurka are your forwards. Shaq and Scott were your defenders. Shaq turns it back in for Nelner. And she'll steam across the line for a centering pass, intercepted by Northern Tier, and they clear. This will go for icing at the other end. 11:13 to go here. First period score still 0-0. Spartacats in their home whites with the blue trim and red trim. Northern Tier wearing black, primarily black with white and blue trim. Some stars on the bottom of their jerseys. Face-off coming to the left of the Northern Tier goal. Olsen, Mercell, and I think that's Bauman are your forwards. This one comes to the middle, gets rotated to the other side. Kron on the ice, along with Donahue at the defensive pairing. Goalie is Wilhelm right now. So we've got some limited views given our perch here in the warm area. So we'll do the best we can as Donahue intercepts that one and turns it back in. Northern Tier gets control of it and sends it down. I think this is going to go for icing, unless somebody can get on the other end of it. And they wave off icing. I didn't see a signal for waving off icing, but they waved off icing. We play on. Loose puck in front. Northern Tier opportunity here. This one goes wide. Kron's going to get to that first. Try to get a clearance, but it goes, it does squirt out. I was going to say she fed the point, but instead it does squirt out. Northern Tier go nice D-to-D backhanded pass. And now they'll bring it in, come in the other direction. This is Olsen. Olsen hammers that off the boards, finds its way out to neutral ice. Scott off the bench. She'll bring it over the midline, now over the blue line. Now shoots and sends it towards Northern Tier. Good kick save that time by the Northern Tier netminder. Miller and Bauman in the corner. This one's going to be claimed by the Spartacats. This is Mercell. Mercell inside for Nurka. That slides wide. Northern Tier battling just below the camera here. This one goes across ice. Nelner at the Spartacat blue line. Draws it onto her forehand. Now she chases aggressively. Finds its way out of the zone. I think the Cats are going to be offside if they get it in, but Nelner gets back onside. Nicely done. Can this puck be kept in the attacking zone? It does, briefly. Nelner sends that in towards the slot. It's intercepted there by Northern Tier and cleared. Hot pass from Donahue, just a little too hot. Cats may have gotten away with one too many on the ice there, but we play on. This is Marcel. Marcel has the puck far side, tries to center pass. Miller also there. Good defense that time by Northern Tier. Forces Kron to try to hold the point. Swings to the near side. This is Nelner. Nelner's got it on her forehand. Sends it down deep. It's going to be in the corner and wrap around. Here's Miller. Miller tries to center, but good defense again that time. Both teams getting a lot of sticks in the way as Kron sends that one back down into the corner. They're in battle at the blue line, and this one goes across. Here's an opportunity for Kron. Northern Tier across and over the line. Opportunity, good defense, back checking that time by Bauman. Donahue also on the defense. Again, operating from a elevated perch inside the warming area, so not exactly the best camera views. Folks, off to the right here, we're a little limited. Marcel knocks that one up the boards. It's just off the camera to the right. Donahue battles there. This is Olsen around Wilhelm's cage. She backhands that towards the blue line. It's kept in momentarily by Northern Tier, but now poked out to neutralize. 7:30 to go here in a rapidly moving first period. Marcel battles there. Opportunity, and that's kept out momentarily, but here's an opportunity. This is Shaq across the blue line. Good defense that time by Northern Tier. Takes it away from Shaq. Now she goes to the far side. Good pass to the far side. Scott tries to hold the point, but this was going to slip out and will go down the ice. Shaq and Scott both chasing that one. Olsen in the middle. It's Shaq. Shaq looks to pass, tries to get it out to Bauman. Bauman couldn't quite handle that one. Shaq gets it again, and this one goes. If it makes it to the end line, it'll go for icing. And there it is. So an icing with 6:46 to go here, first period. No score for either team. And a defensive zone face-off for the Spartacats. Ruth Jawar now checking in for Melissa Wilhelm at goal. Scott and Shaq, your defenders, with Nurka, Nelner, and Miller as your forwards. Face-off far side, nominally won by the Spartacats. They give it right back to Northern Tier. Good shot on, good block that time by Scott. Scott sends that back out into neutral ice. Miller giving chase. Can Nelner keep this in? She does. Miller and Nelner together are managed to keep that in the zone. Northern Tier circling behind their own cage. Now they bring it out through the middle. I think the player tripped on the edge of the cage, edge of the net. In any event, Northern Tier with a nice rush up, but that's going to be offside. As the puck had been, good poke check that time by Olivia Shaq. Broke up that rush and offside against Northern Tier. Face-off coming in the neutral zone. As I said, Northern Tier yesterday, 5-0 winners against West St. Paul. Spartacats did not find the net against Owatonna. So the Cats will look to have a little more consistent offense. Here's Marcel. Marcel to the middle. Marcel, her shot blocked by the defense. Nicely done. Here come Northern Tier the other way. Donahue and Kron are your defenders. Good defense that time. Have to find the puck. It was good defense until they lost the puck, and now they find it again, and now it finds its way into neutral ice. Good up and down game for both teams right now. Northern Tier passing to the middle. That one's off of a skate. Two Northern Tier players going for that one. Good centering pass comes across, but it misses everybody. Now onto the far side. This is, I think that's Bauman. Bauman chips that out into neutral ice. Northern Tier clears. Kron stops that one and sends it across. And Northern Tier unlucky that time as they had an opportunity, but here's Bauman. She brings it across the blue line, and Nelner was just in a step early. Girls didn't quite have their timing down there, unlucky for them. But it was a good play by Bauman and Nelner Try to get that into the attacking zone. So Nelner and Nurka now, and Miller at your forwards. Shack and Scott, your defenders. Face-off won by Northern Tier. Good forecheck that time by Miller, but she's unable to keep the puck in. And the Spartacats just do get it onside as Shack sends that back in. It's intercepted there near boards by Scott. Sends it down towards the Northern Tier goal, but not on frame. In fact, in this game, so far with 4:38 to go, not too many shots on goal for either team. Miller stops that shot, tries to spin and turn. And here comes Northern Tier going the other way. Shack on defense. Here comes Scott. Nelner with a good back check. Nicely done. Scott sends that up the boards. It's held in momentarily. Oh, here's a scoring chance for Northern Tier. But good defense that time by Scott. Pass bangs off the boards. Sent out by Nelner. That one finds neutral ice. Miller battles there. It's sent back in. Now there's some open ice for Olivia Shack. Shack has the puck taken away by one of her teammates. It's kept in momentarily there by Bauman. Nicely done. This comes for Olsen. Olsen between the legs of the defender. This is steered on goal, and perhaps the first or maybe second shot on net for the Spartacats. I think Northern Tier maybe has one. But with 3:41 to go, a lot of play in the middle of the ice, but very few shots on goal for either team. Very competitive between these two teams. Donahue goes cross ice to Cron. Cron has it, sends it in. It's deflected. Good defense that time by Northern Tier getting in front of that shot. They'll claim and have some speed on the far side. Big speed on the far side, and somebody in white jersey's got to get in front. That's shot from distance. I think that might have hit the post and might have went wide. But a dangerous move by Northern Tier as some offensive pressure now being brought to bear. Donahue battles in the corner, sends that out to the dirty ice outside. Marcel has it, tries to get it forward. She loses her footing. And we'll see what happens here with respect to who gets control of this one, and it's Northern Tier far side. Olsen swings to the far side, tries to get at that one, slaps that one towards Northern Tier ice, but it's claimed there. Spartacats changing on the far side. It's dumped down deep, and Izzy Nurka will give chase. Nurka around the boards finds Eden Miller. Miller chips it off the boards, finds it to neutral ice, but can't quite get to it. Now here comes Nelner. Miller and Nurka are your forwards. Northern Tier claims that one. Miller trying to battle there in the corner. Nelner also battling in the corner. Centering pass hits the back of the net. And now Northern Tier will get it out, and this will go for icing all the way down. With 2:04 to go here in the first period. It's been an entertaining one here from Owatonna, the second game of pool play for the O-Town Showdown. Cats would like to get out of that fourth place position if at all possible, so that they're able to avoid an 8 o'clock a.m. game on a Sunday. This one goes far side for Nurka. Nurka swings at that one. And now she goes far side. Oh, good job by Nurka playing on the far side, not letting that puck out. Puck does find its way out, but Izzy Nurka with good physical play on the far side. Northern Tier around their cage. Now they stop and reverse the turn. Miller tries to intercept. Nurka swings at that one. Nurka sends it to the middle. Nolner was waiting, but never got there, as Northern Tier did a nice job of playing defense, pushing that in. And I think the Cats just got away with an offside, and I think they absolutely did. Miller shoots. Oh, and an opportunity. It's a goal for Eden Miller. Northern Tier bench coaches rightfully smiling at the refs, saying, guys, you missed one there. There was a Spartacat player who was just over the blue line when that puck made it back in. But in any event, it is 1-0 in favor of the Spartacats. Eden Miller, with 1:12 to go here in the first period, lights the lamp for the Cats. We'll see if that gives either team a jolt of energy, whether Northern Tier how Northern Tier reacts, and whether the Cats keep rolling. Marcel, Bauman, and I believe Olsen are your forwards. With Cron and Donahue on defense. Cron chips that out. Nicely done. And one of the Northern Tier players wasn't aware that the puck had come out, so unfortunately she didn't leave the zone. So an offside against Northern Tier. So Marcel, Bauman, and Olsen, your forwards. Cron and Donahue, your defenders. Jay War is your goalie. Another offside there with 27 seconds to go here in the first period. Eden Miller with the lone tally for the Spartacats. Face-off win, bottom of the you're just below the camera. Good battle on the boards there. It's pitchforked in by Northern Tier. Cron around her own cage. Fires that one out, looking for Olsen. Olsen gets a stick to it, chips it off. That's a nice play. Well worked. Marcel and Bauman chasing after it, but this is going to be offside as the puck had come out. But 2 or 3 good passes in a row, and suddenly you can see how you can go from one end of the ice to the other. Spartacats with a nice execution, at least till they got to the Northern Tier blue line. 7 seconds to go, neutral zone face-off. Need to line everybody up in the right spot, and now we have the puck drop. This is Marcel, and she has it taken off of her stink, and we head to the first intermission. Score 1-0 in favor of the Spartacats. Cats will have an opportunity to chat on the bench, as will Northern Tier. And we will head to the second period momentarily. Again, brief apologies with respect to the camera angles. We're up in the warm area above the west rink, and I've angled everything in a way that gives us the most amount of ice coverage. I could try changing the orientation of the camera to a portrait rather than landscape, but I'm betting that will be even, so I might get more of the ice, but I'll be whipping the camera around even more violently than I do now. So, I don't know, it's a trade-off, folks. All right, both teams coming out for the second period as Olivia Shack dumps it there on the left side of your screen. This is Melissa Wilhelm in net, so Shack and Scott on the defensive back line for the Spartacats. Nurka, Meller, and Nelner are your forwards. Face-off win that time by Northern Tier comes for Scott. Scott feeds that forward for Nelner. Nelner gets it over the line. Meller doing a good job of making sure she stayed onside. Goes behind the net. Nurka pinching in. Shack will try to hold the blue line here. She does. Nicely done. This comes for Nelner. Nelner is a left-handed shot. She's got it on, sends it in. Good save. Oh, opportunity. There was a rebound. It's still loose. It's still loose, and they have blown it dead. The goalie had it, and then it came out. Referee started to blow the whistle, and after it came out, the players kept playing, but the whistle had blown, and so we'll have a new defensive zone face-off for Northern Tier to the right of their cage. Meller and Nelner try to get on the other end of that. Scott tries to send that in. It's blocked by Nelner. Nurka tries to steer it to the other side, but it doesn't come off. And this is Scott going the other direction. Good job by Scott sending that back out to neutral ice, and Northern Tier will have to regroup. Good forecheck aggressive there by Nurka. This comes from Miller. Miller couldn't quite control that one. And here comes Northern Tier going the other direction. Here's Scott. Scott in the corner, sends it up, but it's kept in that time smartly by Northern Tier. Good battle on the far side for Milner. Here's Miller with a little bit of ice and one defender in front of her. What she got up her sleeve, she goes to the forehand, shoots, puts it on frame, and the keeper covers that one up for a whistle. And with 10:43 to go, we'll have a defensive zone face-off for Northern Tier coming to the right of their net. So Northern Tier will play Owatonna this afternoon, and the Spartacats will take on West St. Paul. Northern Tier plays nominally some located near or around St. Francis. This is Olsen battling in the corner. Oh, good centering backhanded pass. This one comes out towards Donahue at the point. Donahue goes cross ice to Kron. Kron has it on her stick. She sends it in towards the middle. Good opportunity, good passing combination as Bauman gets that on her stick. It was a D-to-D pass from Donahue to Kron into Bauman. Bauman got some wood on it, and a good save that time by the Northern Tier keeper, not allowing a rebound. But a quality set of passes for the Spartacats, something you definitely want to see if you're a Spartacat fan. Referee may have just lost his footing, but Donahue has it nonetheless. Donahue sends that down deep as Olsen and Marcel chase it. Marcel tries to dig it out. It gets punched back behind her. And now to the boards. Donahue with it again. Donahue sends that in towards goal, but it's intercepted. Donahue able to keep it in. Yes, just does keep it in. Now Olsen will chase. Olsen hits the Jets, comes to the middle, sends it right through the crease, but nobody there in white able to tap it in. Some extended zone time here for the Spartacats. Northern Tier looked like they might get it out a couple of times. Oh, good opportunity there. Good whip shot that time by Maren Olsen. I was surprised she was able to get that much on it that quickly, but she did a nice job. And now Northern Tier clears as Marcel and Bauman battle. This one comes back for Shaq. Shaq and Scott now on defense. 9:12 to go here, second period. Northern Tier steaming through center ice. A couple of people, defensive players waving at it. Miller, Nurka, and Nelner are your forwards. This one comes out for Shaq. Shaq's going to try to get on the end of that. Referee a little bit in the way. Girls play on. Shaq hammers at that one just below your camera. Nurka pops that one in. Nelner will give chase. Nurka's going to get there first. She tries to center, but I think it hits the back of the net. Nelner centers. That hits a skate. Here's Miller. Miller behind the net. Opportunity. She shoots bad angle. Tries the wraparound. Doesn't work. And good job covering the near post by the Northern Tier goalie. And results in a defensive zone faceoff. Miller with a nice creative opportunity there. Right side of your screen, but the Northern Tier goalie equal to the task, closing down that near post. $8:20 to go here, second period. Northern Tier still looking for another player, so just trying to get their rotation set. Next game for these girls at 3 o'clock this afternoon when they take on West St. Paul. Miller tries to steer that back in with a backhand. Can Shaq keep it in? She can't. This one's going to go all the way down. I don't know if it's going to make it for icing or not. I think it's going to make it for icing, and it does. So Scott chases it down. Couldn't risk not having icing, but icing against Northern Tier, and the Cats will change. Bauman, Mercell, and Olsen, your forwards. Kron, Donahue, your defenders. Wilhelm still in net. Kron sends that in towards the slot. It's deflected. Here's an opportunity for Northern Tier. They're going to be able to get away. They do momentarily. Good save by Wilhelm. She squeezes that one. The defense was rallying, but Wilhelm had to make a good save and not give up a rebound. And she did so there. So not a lot of action for Wilhelm in this period so far. And of course, with that, we've got a change in goalie. So Wilhelm makes the save and then is withdrawn. And J. War will take her spot. Face-off win there ultimately by Northern Tier at the point. They try to keep it in, but it goes out that time, and it's sent back in by the girls in black. So another offside call there missed on this particular line. The shot comes in towards J-War. Slides behind her cage. Olsen chases it there. Somebody in white needs to get on the other end of it. Here's Donahue. Comes to the near corner. It's sent back in by Northern Tier. To the left of J-War, here's Kron. She backhands that out towards the point. Olsen tries to get to it. Here's an opportunity for Mercell. Mercell steaming through. Check it, that's Bauman. No, that is Mercell. Steaming through neutral ice. She sends it in towards the cage, but it goes wide. Near boards, here's an opportunity for Northern Tier coming in. Kron tries for the poke check. Can't get the poke check. Good save by J-War. Oh my, she had to get in front of that one. It was a great move by Northern Tier, but it comes up empty that time. Northern Tier with two players making sure they keep it in. And that one will make it out. And Bauman will slap that down the ice. I'm not sure if that's going to go for icing or not. Nope, it's going to be played short of icing. Shack will keep it there at the point, sends it down. Now it's behind the cage, far side. Miller right in the middle of the slot. Opportunity for Nelner, but it goes begging. And this will be a big clearance by Northern Tier with 6 minutes to go here in the second period. Scott and Shack switching sides, nicely done. Zoe Scott up the near side, has the puck taken away from her. Girls all falling down. Nurko will give chase here, right side of your screen. Gets slid down behind the net, and here's an opportunity in front. Somebody needs to get in front. Miller tries to center it. Scott tries to get that down. And that's going to be offside against the Spartacats. 5:27 to go here. Second period, score 1-0 in favor of the Spartacats. Good action going both ways. Northern Tier with a number of shots here in this second period have required the Spartacat goalies to have some good saves. Either team with a plethora of bodies on the bench, so as this game goes on, we'll have to see who's got a little more, who has more legs. Miller selling out there trying to keep it in. Nelner momentarily keeps it in, but this is going to go to the far side. Pass to the middle. Kron slaps that back going the other way. Donahue chips it up the boards. Tries it again. This one's going to go back for Kron. Kron around the cage. Kron passes and it's intercepted by Northern Tier, but it makes it to neutral ice. Kron sells out there to make sure that the Northern Tier girl doesn't have an opportunity to get to that. Then she goes for the puck on the far side. Gets wrapped around. Girls in white need to find the puck. Opportunity here for Northern Tier in front as J-War was down. Spartacats always need to be aware of where the puck is. And Donahue says enough of this, and I'm going to send it out. Nicely done by Donahue, recognizing the need to get a few fresh players on the ice. Donahue now the only one back. Northern Tier breaking to the middle. Opportunity as J-War squeezes that one at the near side. And a little bit of frustration for some of the Northern Tier players. That was a good opportunity that just goes begging. 4:02 to go here. Second period, defensive zone face-off for the Spartacats. Coming to the left of Ruth J-War. Face-off win nominally by the Spartacats. Slap towards neutral ice. Gets out into neutral ice. Olsen, Bauman, Marcel, your forwards, and offside against Northern Tier. And you see the player, the player holding her face like, oh my goodness, how did I forget that? And that's U10 hockey, folks. Sometimes girls just forget. In any event we play on, it's 3:51 to go here, second period. And Northern Tier with another face-off win. This is Marcel, far side. Marcel on the forehand. Marcel shoots. Good save. Goes behind the cage. Players down in a heap. Olsen was crashing in the middle, but it was a good shot by Marcel. This one's going to go by a couple of players. Finds Shaq's stick. Shaq gets her head up, turns, looks. Now she's going to try to bring it in herself. Does. And offside. Oh, unlucky there. As one of the Spartacats had crossed into the forbidden zone prior to the puck. 3:21 to go, second period action. Coming to you from Owatonna. This is the West Rink, so it does not have a fancy name like the other rink. We are at the Four Seasons Center here in the Steele County Fairgrounds. Beautiful Owatonna, Minnesota. Home of the Huskies. Face-off win by the Spartacats. Comes in for Meller. Meller tries to send that in, but hits the side of the net. Cron's going to try to hold this in. No, she's not going to try to hold it in because it was well out. She goes D to D to Donahue. Donahue didn't quite handle that one, and here comes Northern Tier the other way. Battle in the corner. Comes from Meller. Meller sends that up to the boards. Can Nelner get this thing out? She does. And sends that down into the other end for it's sent across for Cron. Cron sends it in, but Meller was offside. And with 2:43 to go, what was a quickly moving second period now has turned into a bit of a slog. A number of offsides calls against both teams here in the last couple of minutes. Momentum of the game certainly has slowed. Cron, Donahue, your defensive pairing. J-War in net. Bauman, Olsen, and Marcel are your forwards. Cron's going to stab at that one. Now she's going to have to retreat and go the other direction. Sends it forward. It's blocked by Northern Tier. Doesn't get out of the zone, however. This comes for Marcel. Marcel far side. She's got a little bit of open ice in front of her. Now the defense comes over to claim. Good stick check there. Shot by Olsen. Good save that time by the keeper. Steered back in. Olsen with an opportunity. What a good shot that was by Olsen. Better save by the keeper. And now we have a whistle and a frozen puck. So good sequence there for Olsen and Marcel. Marcel got a good shot on as you see the Northern Tier players congratulating their goalie on a good save, and it was a good save. But Olsen, we've seen that now twice in this game. A quick release off of a centering pass with 2:10 to go. Spartacats might have a little bit of momentum here as that was a nice combination. Bauman, Olsen, Marcel, your forward set. This is going to come for Shaq. Shaq shoots from distance. And it's deflected on the way in. Shaq's going to try to hold this one in. She does on the backhand. Gets into her forehand. Shoots. Good save by the keeper. Rebound. Opportunity. It's still loose. Still loose. And do we have a whistle? We do have a whistle. Hard to tell from up here, folks, as we're in the warm area. The only place we could really broadcast from an elevated position. So we're unable to hear some of the whistles that are going on down there. We have two relatively, let's just say relatively young officials that don't have the strongest whistles in the world. So I thought that might be a bit of a quick whistle as face off to the left of the Northern Tier goalie is won by Northern Tier. They circle behind their net. Now they're coming the other way. Meller with a forecheck. Nurka with the forecheck. Here's an opportunity. This is Northern Tier through neutral ice. Milner with a good poke check there. Nicely done. Nelner sends that down. It's off of a Northern Tier stick. Miller chips it on. And little Eden Miller is going to battle in the corner with a much larger opponent. Scott sends that towards the crease, but it's intercepted, and this comes back for Shaq. Shaq has this at her blue line, gets her eyes up. Shaq through neutral ice. Wrong foot's Nurka. And here comes Northern Tier coming back the other way. And J-War squeezes that one, says that's enough. With 56 seconds to go here in the second period. Score 1-0 in favor of the Spartacats. And the Cats will get a change, as will Northern Tier. So your forwards are Marcel, Bauman, and Olsen. Face off to the right of J-War. This one comes to the middle, claimed by Donahue. Donahue sends that out to neutral ice. Cat forwards will give chase. Can they keep this in? Donahue sends that back down in. Might have gotten away with a bit of a trip there. It was a gentle trip, but might have been a trip either way. Olsen with the forecheck, right side. You guys can't see it, but I can. Cron almost keeps it in at the blue line. This one comes back the other direction, and Cron gets that out now and finds Bauman. Bauman with an opportunity. Bauman's going to keep this wide. Is she going to pass or is she going to shoot? She passes. Just a little too much on that one and couldn't find Marcel, but Olsen there to clean it up. And now Northern Tier around behind their net. Cron's going to try to keep this in at the point. Tries to go D-to-D for Donahue. Donahue right back to Cron. Cron sends it in towards the netminder, and it is squeezed for a face-off as time expires. So the second period does expire here with a 1-0 lead for the Spartacats. Northern Tier with some excellent shots, just have not gone into to date or at this point. And both teams playing well, certainly entertaining hockey to watch from a neutral standpoint. All right, coming out for the third period. Lots of noise down there on the rink. A little quieter up here. Third period action from the West Rink here at the Four Seasons Center. Spartacats in their white with the blue trim. Northern Tier in the black jerseys with blue and white trim. 12 minutes on the clock, and here we go. Meller, Nurka, and Nelner are your forwards. Opportunity here for Northern Tier, and there's another trip that's not called, so to be fair, they're being fairly consistent. Shot from distance, that one goes wide as Wilhelm is back in net. So Wilhelm, your goalie, with Scott and Shaq are your defenders. So this is Zoe Scott, far side, loses the puck, gets it to Shaq. Shaq takes that one away and sends that down into the other end. That one's cleared mightily by Northern Tier, but it's kept in at the blue line, at the red line by Shaq, who sends that back down in. So there needs to be a forecheck here. Scott tries to keep that in. Nurka gives chase far side. Now Nelner will join the fray. Defensively, Cats back. Shot and a goal. Good shot and a good goal. That was a quick release for the Northern Tier forward. She did a nice job of swinging by and snapping that one off. Beat Wilhelm high. And we are tied up at 1. Defense could not get a stick on that or a body in front of it, and as a result, Northern Tier with a goal. And we'll see what kind of momentum that gives them as see how the Spartacats respond. Bauman, Olsen, and Marcel are your forwards. Cron and Donahue your defenders. This is Marcel. She gets in a little extra there and goes down in a heap. Referee's not calling anything's, well, let's just say it this way. The referee's letting him play a bit. Olsen has that one on her stick, tries to get that out. Now she does. Olsen's going to follow that. Is she going to get on the other end of it? She's going to try, but good defense that time by Northern Tier keeps it from turning into a scoring opportunity. Northern Tier brings it across the blue line, sends it across. Cron in the far corner, slaps at it. Needs to get a little more on it. Now it finds Bauman. Bauman chips that out past the defender, but the Northern Tier defensive partner is going to grab that one. Cats might have definitely got away with one there in terms of too many men, but again, referees seem to be letting them play a little bit. So icing against the Spartacats with 9:35 to go, a tied score at 1-1. And we'll have a face-off to the right of Melissa Wilhelm, the Spartacat goalie. We do not have an official shot tally here. If I were to venture, I would say they're probably pretty close. Both teams, I think, have reached double digits. There's Nelner up the side, uses her skate to try to kick it forward. It doesn't quite come off that time. There's Scott. Scott's going to jump back and grab this one. Shack covers the middle. Scott around her own cage. Scott has a lot of company there. Good forecheck by Northern Tier. Creates the turnover. Shack to the middle. That gets sent back into the far corner. Zoe Scott with it. Scott bangs that off the boards. Meller tries to chip it off the boards. Can't. Now Scott sends it. Here's Meller. Nelner in the middle. Nelner to the middle. Far side, that's collision there. This one, good centering pass that time from the far side. Nurka went down in a heap on the far side. Good poke check there by Shack. Another good poke check by Shack. Nelner's back. Bit of choppy play here in the neutral ice area. Another opportunity for Cats to try to get off the ice. Bauman will give chase here, and this is going to be icing if it makes it all the way down, and it is. That's icing. Yeah, they got to call. I mean, they really need to call that stuff. It was a pretty obvious icing. The referees, I think, just lost track of where the puck was. In any event, Scott with the puck sends it in for Nelner. Nelner with a 2-on-1 if she can hurry, but she can't. And now they're going to call a penalty there. And that was a good trip. And I think we've got 2 trips. Still don't have a whistle. Girls are still playing. A little bit of confusion on the ice. Referees need to have some strong whistles down there, and they're learning just like the players are, but lesson number 1 as a referee, you got to blow your whistle. So they're going to get Marcel for a trip, which I certainly understand. It looked like there was a second penalty perhaps against Northern Tier, but they're not going to call that one. It wasn't much of one, but it looked like there might have been another trip over there. In any event, it's going to be a 1-minute power play for Northern Tier. Your penalty killers are going to be Bauman, Olsen, Scott, and Donahue? No, Cron and Donahue. 7:50 to go here, third period, tied score. Cats just need to get this out of the zone, and they do. Good chip that time by Cron, sends it back out of the zone. They're on the penalty kill, so I'd like to see some opportunities here. That's a good shot from Bauman. Or from Olsen, excuse me. And here comes Northern Tier steaming through neutral ice. They're going to try to get it on their forehand. Shot goes wide. Wilhelm watches that one go wide. It's now in the near corner. You can't see it, but Bauman's got it. Bauman skates around behind her neck. She feeds the point. Northern Tier quickly on that one. And Kron tries to get it out, but again, does not, as the point is able to keep that in. Northern Tier with another opportunity. Slapped at that time by Donahue. This one comes for Olsen. Olsen has it, sends it across. I think that needs to get out of the zone. And Marcel is back on the ice. So not a lot going on that power play, but this one comes to the middle and gets sent back in. This will find Kron. Kron whips that towards the middle, but it takes a deflection off of a skate. Donahue with it. She tries to get it out. That's out. That's out. That was another one that was out. But again, both teams Cats need to get on the end of this one and get a firm clearance. Yeah, I know it's hard to see folks in that corner. I apologize, but Nurka with it now, sends it up near the side. Now it goes behind the net. Kron waging her own little war against number 55 in the slot, which is kind of funny. In the event, the Cats finally do get a clearance. Shack sends that down deep. Miller slapping at that one. Here's 17, who scored earlier today with a good shot. This one goes wide. This centering pass opportunity here. That one's up and over. I'm not sure if Wilhelm got to that one or not. That might have just been a miss either way, but in any event, we play on. 5 minutes, 20 seconds to go here. Third period, tie score. Cats need to dig deep, try to find some additional juice. Good firm passes, good firm clearances. This comes for Nelner. Nelner skating up the near boards just under your camera. Gets over the red line. She's dispossessed there, and puck is turned back towards Shack. Shack with an opportunity goes for Olsen. Olsen can't get it out. Comes for Scott. Pitches that forward for Nelner. Nelner off of a couple of sticks. Goes the other way. Cats have not spent much time in the offensive zone over the last handful of minutes. It's been going, I wouldn't say it's been completely one-way traffic, but there's been a lot of play in their defensive zone, and that's offside against Northern Tier. So with 4:22 to go, a tie score here, third period. We will have a goalie change for the Spartacats as Jay Moore will come in. And both teams will change their 5 skaters. Bauman, Olsen, Marcel. Your forwards, Kron and Donahue, your defenders. Neutral zone face-off as Northern Tier gets the right personnel on the ice, and now we have the puck drop. Goes the other way. This is going to go down into the Northern Tier end. Played there by one of the defensemen. Kept in by Marcel. This falls for Olsen. Olsen tries to get it on their front forehand. Can't quite. Bauman giving chase. Good forecheck by Bauman. This one comes up right through the slot. Ooh, kind of a dangerous clearance. Olsen with it there. Here's Kron over to play it. Donahue chips that out, and that finds neutral ice. 3:47 to go here in a rapidly moving third period. Wrapped around by Kron for Olsen. Olsen bangs that one off the boards. Here's an opportunity for the Spartacats. Here's Marcel. Check it, that's Bauman. Bauman with an opportunity. Bauman shoots. Good save by the keeper. And the keeper squeezes for no rebound as Bauman ends up in a heap behind the net. Lost her balance. She put so much into that shot with 3:29 to go. Offensive zone faceoff for the Spartacats. Face-off win by the Spartacats, sent in by Shack. Takes a deflection, took a wicked deflection, and the keeper thanks the hockey gods that didn't deflect just a few inches to the other side. But in any event, we play on. Battle in the near corner. This is Scott trying to keep it in. She's not going to be able to keep it in. Nurka is going to come over and try to play it. Nurka, Meller, and Nelner are your forwards. Here's Meller. Oh, opportunity. Nelner almost has an opportunity. She sends it in. Nurka tries to squeeze that one up against the boards and sends it in towards the middle. Here comes Northern Tier coming the other direction. Head of steam. Somebody in white's got to get in front of her, and they do. Nelner, nice job there. Meller, is the puck going to make it out of the zone? It does. Northern Tier tags up, no problem. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Now this is not going to be icing because A, it didn't make it, and B, it was deflected on the way in. Scott around the side just fires. It's intercepted by Northern Tier. Northern Tier, right side of your screen, just can't see it. Scott around the ice. Now she's got lots of ice in front of her. She's got a head of steam. She should just be carrying it. She does. Well, good defense that time by Northern Tier. Excellent poke check. This one comes back in towards J-War, and J-War's not going to play that one. Thought she might squeeze that one for a face-off, but she didn't. Here comes Kron. She's got a little bit of ice in front of her. Good defense there. Here comes Kron to the middle. Now Kron's going to put the Jets on. She's going to go by one defender. She's got another defender behind her. She's going to shoot. Good save by the keeper. This gets rotated around to Donahue's at the other point. Meller is now going to battle in the corner. 95 seconds to go in the game. Centering pass goes wide. Kron pinching in. Both teams now pressing for that goal. Nurka wildly off the bench, sends that down deep. Here comes Donahue to play that puck near boards. Sends that back out to neutral ice. Kept out by Nurka. Bottom of your screen. Rotates back in. Here comes Northern Tier. Over the line. Lots of defense back for the Spartacats. This one comes in towards J-War, but it's played out that time by, I think that's Marcel. Marcel bringing it up the boards. Tries to go to the middle. It's deflected. Scott on the far side. 45 seconds to go. Zoe Scott brings it in over the blue line. Opportunity as she can't get that on her backhand. Fires to the crease. And now Northern Tier going the other direction. Here comes Northern Tier. Opportunity. Can J-War make a save? And she does. I'm not sure if it missed or whether she made a save. But Ruth J-War spreading it out. Nice job that time by J-War, taking away what was surely a scoring opportunity. 17 seconds to go. Can the Cats get it out of their own zone? This comes for Bauman. Check it, that's Marcel. Marcel over the blue line, over the red line. Now she's dispossessed at neutral ice. Olsen sends that back in. That should be offside. And in any event, the game ends with a 1-1 tie between Northern Tier and the Spartacats. Some excitement, some goals, some saves, some questionable wonderings what's going on the ice. So we'll end the live stream there. Having a little trouble breathing. One of the Spartacat players having a little trouble getting air into her lungs after that last flurry. But I think everyone's going to be okay. And with that, we will end the live stream. Thanks so much for joining us here on the channel. So 1-1 tie between Northern Tier and the Spartacats. So Pool A will be jumbled up a little bit, probably because of the draw. We'll have to see how Owatonna and West St. Paul did on the other rink. And we'll update you at 3 o'clock today when we return back to the live stream. Thanks so much for joining us, folks.